Well, don't you worry. I have another one right out of North Carolina for you. When we think of conjure doctors, root workers, healers, card readers, we don't always picture them in the pulpit. Well, some of us don't. But in many African American communities after the Civil War, which I discussed before, conjure and Christianity were not opposites. They were often woven together. In fact, some of the most respected conjure doctors were also Baptist church leaders, just so y'all know. Not y'all who actually follow me, but some of those other ones. One of the finest examples of this was a man named Alan Vaughn of North Carolina. Now, Alan Vaughn wasn't just a conjure man of great reputation. He also led prayer meetings, sat on the mourner's bench at Menaloa Baptist Church. That means he wasn't lurking outside the church walls. He was right there at the heart of community worship. Now, he was born into slavery, but Vaughn actually ended up emerging as a leader in his community once the Civil War ended in 1865. In those years, freedmen and women wanted to create their own worship spaces. They gathered outdoors under trees, and when the weather turned, they built simple shelters of branches called bush arbors. Minola Baptist Church itself began one of these arbors, and Vaughn was right there shaping both the faith and survival of the parishioners in the church. Now, Vaughn also became known as an herb doctor, a healer, as we know, who could ease pain with roots and remedies. But he also read fortunes by cutting cards, and patients came to him not only for medicine, but also spiritual relief. One person even said Vaughn would give them medicine to ease their pain and pull the tricks to ease their mind. That he was completely embraced holistic care, body, mind, and spirit. And make no mistake, he wasn't considered dangerous to anybody. Alfred Fruchel of Minola Baptist Church said that Allen was a good conjure doctor. And in those days, until about 40 years after the Civil War, they went to him, church folks and all, a Christian man and a floor member of the church. So Vaughn walked both worlds without conflict. He was trusted inside the sanctuary and out. His influence didn't just stop with him. He trained his nephew, who this video was referencing, Dr. Jim Jordan, whose conjure practice followed Vaughn's model. He also taught his own children, James Frank Vaughn and Josephine Aunt Joe Minton. Both carried on the tradition and became respected conjure professionals in their own time. It was through them his legacy lived on for several generations after that. They were a true conjure family. Alan Vaughn's own life story and legacy shows us that conjure and Christianity were not always at odds. And in many of the Black communities, the root doctor, the healer, and the church leader could all be the same person. Alan Vaughn stood as a pastor, healer, counselor, and teacher. And his life and his legacy reminds us that the line between sacred and spiritual medicine was never as rigid as history makes it seem. So why did the practice become so demonized? Y'all let me know what you think about this in the comments.